Want to speak English faster, like way faster? Okay, so have you ever wished you could speak English faster? Like, you totally have the words in your brain, but when you try to say them out loud, it's just a slow, jumbled mess. It's like trying to make a TikTok with bad Wi-Fi, am I right? But guys, it doesn't have to be this way. I'm here to tell you that speaking English faster and more fluently is totally possible, and I'm going to spill all the tea on how to do it. Let's get started. Okay, so before we dive into the tips, let's talk about why speaking fast is even important. You might be wondering, why should I even care about the speed at which I speak? It's not just about sounding like a total boss, although that's definitely a perk. Speaking fast can give you an edge in many situations. Speaking fast can actually make you sound more natural and confident in English. It helps you come across as more fluent and in control of the language. Think about it. When you're talking to your friends in your native language, you don't overthink every single word, right? You just let the conversation flow. It just flows out naturally. That's the kind of ease and fluidity we're aiming for when speaking English. That's the vibe we're going for here. We want to sound natural, like we're not even trying. When you can speak English at a more natural pace, you sound more comfortable and confident, which can be a game changer in everyday conversations, presentations, job interviews, you name it. It can open doors and create opportunities. But, and this is a big but, speed should never come at the cost of understanding. Clarity is key. Like, we're not aiming for a speed talking record here. It's not about how many words you can cram into a minute. The goal is to find that sweet spot where you're speaking quickly enough to sound fluent, but still clear enough to be understood. It's a balance between speed and clarity. It's all about balance, you know? Like walking a tightrope, you need to find that perfect equilibrium. Like, you wouldn't wear Crocs with a ball gown. It's about finding the right mix. Okay, maybe you would, but you get my point. It's about making the right choices to create the best impression. Anyway, the key takeaway here is that speaking fast is a good thing, but only when it's done right. It's a skill that can be honed and perfected. We're not trying to break any sound barriers here, just trying to sound smooth and effortless. The goal is to communicate effectively and confidently. Alright, so my first tip for speaking English faster is to master common phrases and sentence starters. Seriously, this is huge. These phrases are like the building blocks of fluent conversation. It's like having a cheat sheet for conversations. Imagine having a set of go-to phrases that you can rely on in any situation. Think about it. When you're trying to speak quickly, you don't have time to mentally construct every single sentence from scratch. It can be overwhelming and slow you down. That's where these phrases come in. They act as shortcuts, allowing you to express your thoughts more efficiently. They're like pre-built blocks that you can just pop into your sentences, which saves you so much time and mental energy. You can focus more on the content of your conversation rather than the structure. Instead of pausing and saying, I think that, you can just say, I believe, or what I mean is, these phrases help you sound more polished and articulate. It keeps the conversation flowing smoothly, and you sound way more confident. Your listeners will appreciate the clarity and confidence in your speech. And the best part? There are tons of these phrases out there. You can find them in various resources. You can literally find lists online or in English textbooks. There are so many resources available to help you. Some of my personal faves are, to be honest, as far as I'm concerned. And on the other hand, these are versatile and can be used in many different contexts. Start incorporating these bad boys into your conversations, and you'll be amazed at how much faster and smoother your English will sound. Practice them regularly, and soon they'll become second nature. Okay, so tip number 2 is all about sounding like a native speaker. And that means mastering the art of linking words and reducing sounds. This is a crucial step in making your speech flow naturally and effortlessly. Trust me, this is where the magic happens. In natural, fast-paced English, words don't always sound the way they look on paper. They blend together in a way that can be surprising if you're not used to it. They kind of melt together, like grilled cheese on a hot summer day. Imagine the words fusing seamlessly, creating a smooth and cohesive sound. For example, do you want to becomes do you wanna, or even just wanna. This is a common way native speakers simplify their speech. And then there are reductions, which are like the secret sauce of fast English. These reductions help in making your speech sound more fluid and less robotic. They're all about simplifying sounds and syllables. By doing this, you make your speech more efficient and easier to understand in a conversational context. Like, what are you doing? Becomes what you doing. This kind of transformation makes your speech sound way more casual and natural. It sounds way more casual and natural, right? This is the kind of speech pattern that will help you blend in more seamlessly in everyday conversations. Now, I know this might seem a little weird at first, especially if you're used to pronouncing every single letter. It can feel like you're breaking the rules of pronunciation, but trust me, the more you practice, the more natural it will feel. Over time, these patterns will become second nature to you. And don't be afraid to exaggerate those sounds at first. It's a great way to get comfortable with the new speech patterns. Like really lean into that wanna and gonna. Exaggeration helps in internalizing these reductions. It might feel silly, but it's all part of the process. Embrace the silliness and enjoy the journey of mastering natural English speech. Chapter 4. Tip number 3. Shadowing. Become the English-speaking ninja. Alright guys, get ready for my all-time favorite technique for speaking English faster: shadowing. This is like the ultimate hack and it's surprisingly fun. So, what is shadowing? Basically, it's like you're becoming the shadow of a native English speaker. You find a recording of someone speaking English. It could be a podcast, a YouTube video, a movie, literally anything. And you just repeat what they say, mimicking their speed, tone, and rhythm. It's like karaoke for English learners, but instead of singing, you're speaking. And trust me, it's way less embarrassing than karaoke. At least you're alone in your room, right? Start with something easy and slow, like a beginner-level podcast or a children's show. And don't worry if you can't keep up at first. The goal is to gradually increase your speed and accuracy over time. Think of it like a workout for your mouth. You wouldn't try to run a marathon without training, right? Same goes for speaking faster. Chapter 5. Tip number 4. Think in English. No, like really think. Okay, this next tip might sound a little out there, but trust me, it's a game changer. Are you ready for it? Think in English. I know, easier said than done, right? But hear me out. When you're constantly translating in your head, it slows you down. It's like trying to drive with the parking brake on. So, how do you actually train yourself to think in English? It's all about incorporating it into your daily life. Like when you're brushing your teeth, narrate the experience in your head in English. I'm brushing my teeth. I'm using mint toothpaste. Okay, now I'm rinsing. Or when you're cooking, describe what you're doing in English. I'm chopping onions. Next, I'll boil water. It might feel weird at first, but the more you do it, the more natural it will become. Chapter 6. Tip number 5. Just talk, dude. Okay, this last tip is the most obvious, but it's also the most important. Practice regularly with a partner or tutor. I know, putting yourself out there can be scary. But trust me, the more you speak, the faster and more confident you'll become. And the good news is, there are tons of ways to find people to practice with. There are apps like Italki and HelloTalk, where you can connect with native speakers for language exchange. You can also join local language exchange groups or even just find a language partner online. The key is to make it a regular habit. Like set aside a specific time each week to practice speaking English. And don't be afraid to make mistakes. That's how you learn and improve. Outro, you got this. So there you have it. My top tips for speaking English faster and more fluently. Remember, it's all about practice and consistency. Don't get discouraged if you don't see results overnight. Just keep practicing, and you'll be amazed at how much progress you can make. And hey, if you found these tips helpful, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more awesome English learning content. Until next time, peace out!